Hi everyone, welcome to your current affairs class. This is Sonali Mehra, faculty at Mentor IAS, and on behalf of Mentor IAS, I welcome you to this class. Today we are going to cover a few topics, keeping in mind the need of prelims examination. आज हम prelims को ध्यान में रखते हुए कुछ topics पर बात करने वाले हैं. Whatever dimensions we will be covering today, they are important from the point of view of your examination. So just stay tuned with us in this entire discussion so that you will be easily able to understand as to how one should be covering these topics which were in news in recent months, okay, or in recent times. आज के टॉपिक्स का डिस्कशन बिल्कुल उसी लाइंस पर किया जाएगा जिन लाइंस पर प्रीलिम्स के सवाल पूछे जाते हैं. So you can say handouts of this particular class you will be easily able to find on our telegram channel, Mentor IAS telegram channel. आप वहाँ पर जाकर के इस क्लास से रिलेटेड हैंडआउट्स को भी डाउनलोड कर सकते हैं. So now let us begin this particular class. Let us see what all topics we are going to cover today. ये कुछ टॉपिक्स हैं जिनको आज हम कवर करने वाले हैं. सबसे पहला टॉपिक जो आज हम कवर करेंगे दैट इज रिलेटेड टू नेशनल हैंडलूम डे. नाउ वी ऑल नो दैट इन द रीसेंट प्रीलिम्स एग्जामिनेशन in 2023 UPSC had asked one question directly on the National Handloom Day, right? And the question was statement based question. The question was very simple, but lot of students were not able to solve that question because we were not prepared at that level, or you can say we were not ready to understand how any news related to this particular day can be asked in your examination. So in this class today we will be looking at this particular topic so that in future whenever we are going to see a question coming from this particular topic we are easily able to comfortably able to solve that question in our examination. We will be looking at that same CSE prelims last year question, 2023 question, and also we will be solving one previous year, some practice question on it. After this, we will be moving towards our next topic, that is remembering Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar on 205th birth anniversary. Now this topic also is very important from the point of view of your mains. Every year, for your prelims, that means every year in our examination, prelim stage की अगर हम बात करें, questions on personalities, especially 19th century reformers, उनके ऊपर बहुत सारे क्वेश्चंस आते हैं. सो इट्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर एनी सीरियस यूपीएससी एस्पिरेंट टू कवर दिस पर्टिकुलर पार्ट ऑफ योर हिस्ट्री इन सच अ मैनर दैट वेदर द क्वेश्चन इज कमिंग बिकॉज इट इज इंस्पायर्ड फ्रॉम सम करंट अफेयर और बिकॉज इट इज देयर इन अ स्टैटिक पार्ट इन हिस्ट्री. Both ways you are able to solve the question. So we will be covering up this particular topic as our second topic. The third topic that we will be covering is India's first smart intelligent village. Now understand that whenever we have got some terms in our exam in newspaper like this one, smart intelligent village, what is really important for us is to understand the exact meaning behind it, the foundation on which this entire idea has come up. So in this one we will be looking at the major points related to the smart intelligent village and how one should be covering it, that we will be seeing here. Last but not the least, we are going to talk about one news related to the recent awards. So today we will be talking about the Raman Magsaysay Award, right? In every discussion in my class, either the fourth topic is related to sports, it's related to awards, or it's related to some recent report. We are covering this particular section which now has started to come up in our examination as our miscellaneous ones. Okay, तो miscellaneous की तरह हम इसको रख करके awards हो गए, reports हो गई या sports से related कुछ चीज़ें हो गई, उनको हम यहाँ पर cover करेंगे या cover करते आ रहे हैं. If you haven't watched earlier topics or earlier discussions, so आप please एक बार उसको देख लीजिए. इन 4 टॉपिक्स पर आज हम डिटेल में बात करने वाले हैं, जिसमें सबसे पहला नेशनल हैंडलूम डे है, पंडित ईश्वर चंद्र विद्यासागर के ऊपर एक आर्टिकल है उन पर हम बात करेंगे, स्मार्ट इंटेलिजेंट विलेज पर बात करने वाले हैं, एंड द फोर्थ वन इज रिलेटेड टू द वेरी सब टॉपिक आई वुड से ऑफ अवार्ड्स. एक अलग से कैटेगराइजेशन पर हम बात करेंगे. ऑलराइट, नाउ लेट अस बिगिन विद आवर फर्स्ट टॉपिक. द फर्स्ट टॉपिक दैट वी आर गोइंग टू कवर टुडे इज द नेशनल हैंडलूम डे. ओके, let us first of all understand the news highlight related to it. So it was the 11th National Handloom Day that has been recently concluded on 7th of August 2025. Now many of us usually don't focus on specific dates. But what has happened in 2023, let me first of all show you that one. So if you look at this particular question, this particular one, this was the question that UPSC had asked in the year 2023, CSC 2023. This was that question we were talking right in the beginning of this discussion session. Two statements were given. The first statement says 7th August. So exactly the date has been given to us in that particular question. 7th August is declared as the National Handloom Day, and it was in 1905. Exactly date, month and year they have basically asked here, and the historical you can say event associated with it, or that inspired this particular you can say celebration of this particular day, to basically honor the people who are engaged in the handloom industry and who have their immense contribution in the country's GDP. This day has been celebrated. So basically this direct question, if you see here, as I have said, it's a direct question, has directly come from this topic itself, and the question is basically, if you see, a foundational one. It's not any in any ways you can say twisted one. Okay, so that way you need to understand that we cannot simply skip the dates. Dates को आप skip नहीं कर सकते हो. आपको कई बार यूपीएससी बहुत ही सिंपल प्लेन सवाल पूछ लेती है, जैसे यहाँ पर आपको डेट पूछी हुई है, ईयर बोला हुआ है, मंथ बोला हुआ है. डू नॉट स्किप सर्टेन डेट्स जो कि स्पेशली किसी हिस्टोरिकल इवेंट जैसे कि स्वदेशी मूवमेंट से लिंक्ड है. नाउ लेट अस गेट बैक टू द टॉपिक. फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल टॉपिक कवर होने के बाद में ही हम इस क्वेश्चन पर आएंगे. So what recently has happened, that the 11th National Handloom Day was celebrated on August 7, 2025, जिसको भारत मंडपम पर में जो था वो conclude किया गया. Conclude क्या आप बोल लीजिए कि celebrate किया गया. जिसका theme क्या था? So this is again very very important thing. Wherever I will be making these boxes or I will be writing prelims, please keep on adding that to your notes as well. Handout तो मिल ही जाएगा. Handout में चाहें तो उसमें add on कर लें extra. But whatever I am telling you in the lecture itself, keep on noting all of that. Okay. The theme is very important. This year's theme was weaving innovation into tradition. At least this year's theme everyone should know. So we have already seen that one question on the year and why this particular day has been chosen. That question has already come. Other question on this particular topic could be from the theme itself. This is other dimension जो इस टॉपिक से रिलेटेड है. तो थीम आपके लिए इंपॉर्टेंट है. I'm writing it here. Please cover the theme here. Okay, weaving innovation into tradition highlights India's handloom heritage, where the President of India conferred the Sant Kabir and National Handloom Award to honor the artisans' excellence. Now there are 2 to 3 things जो आपको मालूम होने चाहिए before you proceed with this topic further. First thing is, this topic is related to GS paper 1, subject is history. GS paper 1, subject is history. Topic, if you see, freedom struggle is the topic here. So freedom struggle is the topic here. Okay, whenever there is any topic in news related to freedom struggle, there are 2 to 3 I would say subtopics that automatically become important. What are those topics? First is what exactly is or was that particular event, historical event that had happened. Second, all the associated leaders. Associated leader is another favorite area of UPSC. In prelims, you will find lot of questions, and in different fashion also. Sometimes there will be pair type of questions, statement based questions. There will be yes, in this fashion you will find 2 to 3 varieties of questions coming every year in prelims, where they are asking question on one particular theme but in different fashion. So the other subtopic which is related to the freedom struggle here is, apart from the entire event that you should be knowing, is the associated leadership with it. So associated leader you should always understand, and the final outcome, that is very very important. These are the 3 broader areas that one should always know whenever there is a news related to some historical event that had happened in past. You can expect question on any of these 3 or could be on all of these 3. Okay, so write this down in your notes. Other thing is, so yes, it is history GS1 paper 1 topic. Freedom struggle is basically that specific area from this question, from where this question has come up. One more thing which is related to the news itself, and that is you should always understand that who is the dignitary, who is the person or the official post which is associated with this award ceremony here. Many a times UPSC flip this particular, you can say, or try to twist our mind or presence of, wanted to check our presence of mind. Therefore, they twist the statement in our examination. Instead of president, they will be writing down prime minister. That is where we have to focus. Okay, the personality associated with this, or I would say the government position associated with it, is the President of India. So the President of India has conferred this award. There are two awards associated with it. First is the Sant Kabir Award, and the second one is the National Handloom Award. These are the two awards. I have written this down in your handout also. You can go and download that document. Simply read that one. Whatever I am telling you here in the discussion, add anything extra which you will not find there from our discussion here into that handout. Okay. So two awards are also associated with it. We will also be coming to this very part where we will be understanding the difference between the two awards and the nature of award itself. So, and this entire award thing is done to basically honor our artisans excellence. Okay, this is the entire you can say news. In this particular news, these are the various segments that one need to focus. इस पूरे न्यूज में से ये कुछ 3 से 4 एरियाज हैं, जिसमें पहला तो आपको ये एरिया और इस एरिया में से क्या क्या पूछा जा सकता है मालूम होना चाहिए. इस पूरे न्यूज में से ये आइडिया, ये आइडिया, ये आइडिया और ये अवार्ड का आइडिया आपको बिल्कुल क्लियर होना चाहिए. बिल्कुल सिंपल क्वेश्चन भी होगा प्रीलिम्स का, लेकिन इन चीज़ों पर खास तौर से ध्यान नहीं दिया होगा तो आता हुआ क्वेश्चन आपका छूट जाएगा. इन प्रीलिम्स एवरी क्वेश्चन मैटर्स, राइट? ऑलराइट, सो यहाँ तक तो हमने चीज़ों को अच्छे से अंडरस्टैंड कर लिया. नाउ लेट अस मूव अहेड एंड नाउ लेट अस टॉक अबाउट द National Handloom Day. Now these are the things which are important for prelims. So let's talk about these quick facts for prelims. First thing is that regarding National Handlooms Day, it is observed annually on August 7 to commemorate the launch of Swadeshi movement in the year 1905. स्वदेशी मूवमेंट की को ध्यान में रखते हुए या उसको एक फाउंडेशन इवेंट मानते हुए नेशनल हैंडलूम डे को लॉन्च किया गया है. 2015 में सबसे पहली बार इसको सेलिब्रेट किया गया था. प्राइम मिनिस्टर ऑफ इंडिया ने 2015 में इसका पहला सेलिब्रेशन जो था वो चेन्नई में किया था. एंड फ्रॉम दैट ईयर ऑनवर्ड्स हम हर साल 7th of August को नेशनल हैंडलूम डे जो है वो सेलिब्रेट करते हैं. वाई इट इज एसोसिएटेड विद स्वदेशी मूवमेंट एट द फर्स्ट प्लेस. सो अभी हम स्वदेशी मूवमेंट पे भी आएंगे. मैं शॉर्ट में अगर आपको बता दूं, 1905 में व्हेन देयर वाज द स्वदेशी मूवमेंट, तो स्वदेशी मूवमेंट का इनिशियली ऑब्जेक्टिव जो था दैट वाज टू annul the entire partition of Bengal thing that was taking place in that year. 1903 से the then viceroy of India लॉर्ड कर्जन, जो 1899 से 1805 तक 1905 तक इंडिया के वाइसराय रहते हैं, उनके कहने पर ये पार्टीशन अनाउंस किया गया. पार्टीशन वाज ऑलरेडी ऑन द यू कैन से डॉक्यूमेंट्स ऑन द पेजेस 1903 से ही. वेल 1903 के बाद से 1905 तक आते आते इसको अनाउंस किया गया. इनिशियली हमारा जो ऑब्जेक्टिव था एज पार्ट ऑफ दिस वन बिग डाइवर्स कंट्री वाज टू कि भाई इस पूरे पार्टीशन को रद्द कर दिया जाए, इसको एनलमेंट कर दिया जाए. ग्रेजुअली ये जो हमारा ऑब्जेक्टिव था ये ब्रॉडन हुआ टू पॉलिटिकल एंड सोशल एंड कल्चरल स्फेयर एज वेल. और वहीं पर पॉलिटिकली एंड इकोनॉमिकली आई वुड से ज़्यादा ये एक्सपैंड हुआ. किस सेंस में कि हमने इस मूवमेंट में स्वदेशी एंड बॉयकॉट को ऐड किया. ये दोनों एक पॉजिटिव एलिमेंट है, एक नेगेटिव है, मैं इस पर जल्दी आऊँगी. फिलहाल मैं आपको यहाँ पर ये लिंक क्लियर कर दूँ कि स्वदेशी से इसको हमने क्यों लिंक किया है. तो स्वदेशी की जब हमने बात की तो मैंने आपको बताया दो चीज़ों के लिए इसको, दो चीज़ों पर इसको एक्सपैंड किया गया था. पहला था कि पार्टीशन ऑफ बंगाल को रोकने के लिए जो एडिशन किया गया वो था कि हम सेल्फ सफिशिएंसी यानी कि स्वदेशी को ही प्रमोट करेंगे एंड एट द सेम टाइम वी आर ऑल्सो गोइंग टू बॉयकॉट the foreign made goods and cloth, whatever is foreign made, right, उसको किया जाएगा. Now if we talk about स्वदेशी, तो सबसे पहले जो हम फोकस करते हैं वो है इंडिया मेड थिंग्स, इंडिजिनसली बिल्ड थिंग्स. यहीं से ये वर्ड आता है, स्पेशली रिलेटेड टू योर अपैरल्स, राइट. तो यहाँ पर हम बात करते हैं खादी की, ठीक है, इस तरीके से हम बात करते हैं. एंड यहीं पर बात आती है हैंडलूम की, हैंडलूम की. एंड देयरफॉर दिस पर्टिकुलर इवेंट देयरफॉर is directly related to the celebration of National Handloom Day. I will be coming back to this very topic of Swadeshi movement iske baad mein, but at the first place please understand that why we are saying that National Handloom Day is associated with Swadeshi movement itself. So Swadeshi movement and National Handloom Day has a very very close link because of the kind of events that happened back then in 1905, and you can say the spirit of all those participants who participated in the this movement of to annul the partition of Bengal. So basically there was this entire zeal to not only restrict ourselves to annulment of partition but also to expand it to Swadeshi and to boycott the foreign made goods and anything which is foreign made in the Indian market itself. उसको ये शो करता है, उसके साथ रिलेट करता है. फाइन. Now this is organized by Ministry of Textile. Now this is another area which is important. UPSC asks question on this particular statement itself. So it is organized by the Ministry of Textile, first celebrated in 2015, inaugurated by the Prime Minister of India in Chennai. So the ministry related here is this. This is another important area. I'm writing prelims next to it. Oh, all right. And it honors India's handloom heritage and contribution of weavers to the socio-economic and cultural life. Basically, if you see the history of India right from the very, very beginning, Indian handloom sector has greatly contributed, immensely contributed, I would say, to the India's GDP or India's economy. So to basically honor the contribution of handloom people, this day now has been celebrated. Okay, how they have contributed, that also we will see in this particular slide. So the main things that you should be knowing about the contribution are, so this is the contribution. This point is basically highlighting the contribution of handloom sector in Indian economy. The data that you are seeing here is directly taken from the government websites and from PIB. So this data is related to the year 2024-25. How the handloom sector is basically contributing to our economy? Number one, workforce employed. How many number of people, or you can say the total workforce, is employed in handloom sector? If you talk about the very recent year or the very recent concluding year 24-25 की अगर आप बात करते हैं, कितने लोग इसमें employed हैं? It includes the weavers plus the allied workers. So over 35 lakh, or we can simply say 3.5 million. This is a huge number. So huge number of people basically is, you can say, employed in the handloom sector. Not only they are employed, they are also contributing immensely to the growth of India's economy. How? So if you look at the annual export value of the handloom product, it falls somewhere at 1600 crores. 1600 crores. Okay, this is a huge number. So just see the contribution done by the handloom products. If you talk about the percentage of women in the workforce, in this entire workforce which is engaged in the handloom sector, that is 72%. That means women are meaningfully engaged, and by meaningfully I mean when they are contributing, they are also getting monetary, you can say, returns in return of what they are putting into it, their time, their energy, their effort, right? And you can say contribution to the textile production overall 19%. Now very important thing, export destination. that when we are making these handloom products, what are the export destination, and these destinations are in order of value: USA, UAE, Netherlands, France and UK. So these are the export destinations. So that way, if you see, we can definitely say handloom sector immensely contributes to our GDP even today, right? That is why it's important to give the due credit to all those people who are working so hard in the handloom industry. Next is the handloom award. When you talk about the award, we have divided the award into two categories. So handloom award, now these awards are also very important to understand. First is called as Sant Kabir Handloom Award. Sant Kabir Handloom Award. I'm writing it in short here, okay? Handloom Award. And second one is National Handloom Award. National Handloom Award. Handloom Award. Now, what are the things associated with these awards? Number one, दोनों में अगर हम देखें तो in Sant Kabir Handloom Award, it recognizes the outstanding weavers' contribution to the sector's growth, preserving tradition and innovation, and the prize includes 3.5 lakh rupee cash, a gold coin, a certificate, shawl, citation, and presented by the President of India. These things are very important. So, which dignitary is basically presenting this? It is important, President of India, and what is associated with this prize. Then we have this National Handloom Award. It also recognizes the excellence, craftsmanship, innovation for weavers, designers, marketeers, startups and the producer companies. The prize includes under National Handloom Award rupees 2 lakh cash, a certificate, shawl, citation. It is also presented by the President of India. Please highlight these two things. Now, in both the cases, you are seeing we have citation, prize money, shawl. These are the things associated. Then what is that particular, if we say the difference between the two? If you see Sant Kabir Award, National Handloom Award, in this particular one, we are or we can say we are basically associating this award to the lifetime contribution of handloom weavers for their contribution to this handloom sector. It is being given to the master weavers, okay? And when you talk about the National Handloom Award, it not only include the weavers, in fact it also include the other craftsmen or the craftsmanship. It includes the very idea of innovation, any innovation meaning any sort of startup if you are getting with this. So basically if you look at the ambit of two, this is much broader. This is much broader in its scope because lot of other people associated with the handloom industry are being awarded the National Handloom Award, but here it is strictly we can say associated with the weavers, okay, master weavers, or that is why it says recognizes the outstanding weavers contribution to the sector's growth. Right, and in both the cases we have got some monetary prizes, certificate, shawl, citation, and in both the cases we see that the awards are basically presented by the President of India. Be very clear about it. No matter how you can say repetitive is sound right now, but in prelims when you get one such question, you will remember this class, you will recall this class and you will be able to solve the question. Okay, all right. Next is, now let's talk quickly about Swadeshi movement. Because this is prelims discussion class, we will not be going into the details of Swadeshi movement. We will be talking about the major facts, prelims related facts on Swadeshi movement. Okay, so let us first of all talk about the causes of Swadeshi movement. If we talk about the causes, we have divided into three. First, the immediate cause of Swadeshi movement was the very announcement of partition of Bengal. क्या कारण था? बहुत सारे कारण हैं, हम 3 कारणों में उनको अलग अलग से डिवाइड कर सकते हैं, विभाजित कर सकते हैं. We have the 3 major divisions here. First is the, when you talk about partition of Bengal, पहला कारण था कि बंगाल का विभाजन किया जा रहा था. Now this partition of Bengal thing was already on the cards. 1903 में भी there was this initial sign when we started to see the partition of Bengal started to come to the surface, or the discussion related to it started to come to the surface. The then Viceroy of India, that is Lord Curzon, who was the Viceroy of India between this time period, announced this partition finally in the year 1905. And the major reason given behind the partition of Bengal was, or the official reason we can say, by the then government of India, British government of India, was, what was the reason? Administrative difficulty. The administrative difficulty while administering Bengal, because Bengal was a big, you can say, segment of British India. Now this was something which was given as a reason to this very population. But actually, if you see, if this circle is representing the then Bengal, it was going to be divided into 2 parts. Obviously not the equal 2 halves, but into 2 parts. The east and the west. The east Bengal and the west part of Bengal. The east part of Bengal includes obviously the eastern half of Bengal and Assam, which was a Muslim dominated population. A Muslim dominated population. Whereas if you look at the west one, this particular one was obviously the west part of Bengal, which was Hindu dominated population. So if you see that way, you will be easily able to understand why the partition at first place was announced. There were clear reasons for it. Bengal at that point of time was also the hub of, let me write it here, Bengal at that point of time was also the hub of creativity. Bengal was the hub of creativity, culture, literature, education. Bengal as hub of learning. Lot of Western education, Western philosophy, very concept of state, this and that, everything we were learning. Lot of freedom fighters, lot of you can say senior leaders who participated in the freedom struggle, they have come from this. But not only the leaders, but also the you can say the mass of coming from Bengal was very, you can say, aligned in that particular manner, right? They were quite awakened. So it was the hub of learning. It was also the hub of culture. So therefore, it was very important for the British Raj to somehow break this unity down. There was also the unity shown by the people. So it was very important for the people, for the British government to somehow break this unity down, so that they can be ruling forever, for perpetuity, obviously. Otherwise, people of this particular land are going to understand after a point of time that they only have, all of them have only one enemy against which they have to fight. Not calling them enemy, but as oppressor, right? So we have seen, when we read about different you can say stages of freedom struggle, that it took us long time as a population coming from one same land to understand that there is one single oppressor against which we all are fighting. There could be regional differences while understanding that one major or while getting that idea of one major, you can say, oppressor, but ultimately oppressor is same. What I'm trying to tell you is, हर जगह पर आपको बंगाल, महाराष्ट्र, चेन्नई, हर जगह आपको दिख सकता है, मतलब तमिलनाडु आपको दिख सकता है कि इमीडिएट ऑपरेसर जमींदार है, कहीं पर और कोई इंटरमीडियरी है. अल्टीमेट ऑपरेसर जो है वो ब्रिटिश राज है. वो धीरे धीरे ही लोगों को समझ आने लगा. इट टुक अस लॉन्ग लॉन्ग टाइम. एज अ मास इफ यू सी, हमें बहुत वक्त लगा. एक आम जनता की पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से अगर आप देखते हैं, हमें बहुत समय लगा, और उसके बहुत सारे कारण है. एक पहला कारण तो उसका सोशियो इकोनॉमिक डिफरेंसेस थे हमारी इंडियन सोसाइटी में. वी वर नॉट एट ऑल fighting at the same level. We cannot imagine a person who has not eaten from last 2 days or is suffering from, you can say, impoverishment to simply participate in the national freedom struggle, right? तो बहुत सारे लेवल्स पर हम पहले से ही फाइट कर रहे थे एज अ सोसाइटी. बट ये अंडरस्टैंड करना कि ब्रिटिश राज ही एक ऑपरेसर का वो, यू कैन से, पोडियम है जहाँ से वो, या एक सेंटर स्टेज है जहाँ से ये सब कुछ जो है वो फाइनली मटेरियलाइज हो रहा है, उसमें हमें वक्त लगा. बट फाइनली व्हेन इट हैपेंड, eventually because of lot of movements that were led by lot of our great leaders, और उसमें मास ने बहुत सारा पार्टिसिपेशन किया, तब जाकर के फाइनली 1947 में we got our participation, we got our freedom, our independence. It was a huge effort. So much of people lost their lives, so much of people contributed in various you can say manner. Women, men, children, everyone participated in it, right? So ये कुछ reasons थे. So but the official reason given to us was that administratively it is becoming very tough for British to administer Bengal. Next important cause, if you see, is the growing Indian nationalism. Now I think you all are clear about this very idea. Bengal, as I have already told you, was basically the hub of creativity. Creativity regarding what? You are writing poetry, you are writing, you are composing the texts, you are talking about the ideas of how state should look like, right? Regional grouping are being coming up. Students are basically awakening. Students are understanding what is happening across the world and how it should be taken up. Different people were taking up different subjects to study. Lot of things were happening basically. So Bengal was that hot hub from where lot of freedom fighters were coming up. Now it could be very dangerous for the British Raj to not act at that very point of time. So they did act, and they acted through their policies like these. Next is the long standing economic exploitation. We all are well aware of the economic exploitation, the oppression, economic oppression that Indians have faced, or the indigenous population of this country had faced back then in the British Raj. And it all starts right from the beginning itself, the policy of expansion and policy of land revenue. Policies of land revenue, जिसमें आप पढ़ते हैं permanent settlement system, रियोतवाड़ी, महलवाड़ी, they were very oppressive systems, right? So this is the first thing. बहुत समय से चल रही थी. आप permanent settlement system की बात तो 1792-93 से करना शुरू कर देते हैं. So for so many years, if you see, by the time we start to see the Swadeshi movement coming up in 1905, people were under immense pressure, economic pressure, right? बहुत सारे इस समय तक तो इवेंट छोटे छोटे हो भी रहे थे, अपराइजिंग्स हो भी रही थी. When you talk about lot of peasant uprisings, civilian uprisings, tribal uprisings, they were taking place in the 19th century itself. Now तो we are in the 20th century when you talk about Swadeshi movement. You're understanding it? So policy of land revenue, then the very policy of expansion, which British claim that they are now not going to expand, I mean the way they were expanding before 1857. Doctrine of lapse policy, subsidiary alliance, and ring fence policy. So these were the things, and these were not only the things, they had great impact on Indian population. What had happened to the Sepoy army, we have all read about those things in our history books, right? So if you see that way, these broader 3 points, this is number 1, this is number 2, and this is number 3. These 3 points actually are able to give us the clear picture as to what had happened back then in 19, or you can say the first decade of 20th century. So these were the reasons because of which we were seeing Swadeshi movement definitely was going to, or some sort of movement was supposed to happen. In fact, this particular movement is one of the strongest movement pre-Gandhian, in the pre-Gandhian struggle phase. So in the pre-Gandhian struggle phase, this was one of the very, very strong movements. In fact, when this movement took place, तो पहला तो मैंने आपको बताया कि जब ये मूवमेंट शुरू हुआ, व्हाट वाज द होल आइडिया, होल थिंग, दैट वी हैव टू एनल दिस पर्टिकुलर मूवमेंट, हमें इस विभाजन को रोकना है. ग्रेजुअली इट गॉट एक्सपैंडेड टू द ब्रॉडर आइडिया. लेट मी एक्सप्लेन दैट हियर. सो द इनिशियल ऑब्जेक्टिव was to annul the partition of Bengal. So partition of Bengal, annulment of partition of Bengal, correct. Gradually we expanded the area of, or very idea of partition, just only, annulment of partition of Bengal, and we added two more areas into it. First is the negative element, we usually say, and then is the positive element. Negative element in the sense that we decided to boycott all the foreign made things, be it anything eatable, your apparel, any kind of other good. And when it comes to Swadeshi, it simply means what? It simply means we are going to use only India made things, राइट. खादी हो गई या बाकी अपने बाकी जितने भी चीज़ें हम कंज्यूम करते हैं, कंज्यूम में तो सब कुछ आ जाता है. कंज्यूमर यू कंज्यूम थिंग्स दैट यू ईट, दैट यू वियर, हर चीज़ आ जाती है उसमें. सो वी वर फोकसिंग ऑन दैट, एंड नॉट ओनली दैट, वी वर ऑल्सो टॉकिंग अबाउट स्वदेशी एजुकेशन. सो वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट गुड्स, we were talking about education, we were talking about national banks also. So this was that big sphere where we wanted to take this particular movement up, and we took that also. This was also the point when we started to see that moderate and extremist sometimes coming together, going far from each other. This was that period of time as well. So the objective therefore expanded to these, and across India lot of people participated in their own manner, So these were the strategies that were used in the Swadeshi movement, like boycott of British goods, refuse to purchase the foreign products to support the local industries, meaning Swadeshi industries, promotion of Indian products, encourage the use of local goods and industries, public gathering, so that people should be understanding as to what we are participating into, what right now is happening around us. Then national education, establishing our own schools to counter the British educational influence. Cultural revival, lot of festivals, melas we started to we started to organize. Then, so that people also start to understand that we are also coming from a cultural background. Protests and strikes, lot of demonstrations, picketing started to take place, and religious solidarity. So that way, if you see, various means, methods were basically adopted, taken up by the participants in the Swadeshi boycott movement, and that is how this entire movement actually took off. Now, what were the outcomes to this movement? तीसरा सबसे important point हमेशा outcomes का है. So what was the outcome? If you see, पहला outcome तो है that British government came down heavy-handedly on the participants. Anywhere they start to see, anywhere they see some people demonstrating against their laws, or maybe they are, even if it is peaceful picketing, then also there was lathi charge. And in their official records, British wrote it down as mild lathi charge, but it was not mild at all. If you look at the condition of people, which has also been recorded, the wounds on the bodies of people who participated in the movement say a lot about what sort of mild, or the degree of mildness that British were claiming at that point of time. Then there was this slogan of Bande Matram. Whenever there is one lathi being put on anybody's body, people would, they would be shouting loudly Bande Matram. Gradually what started to happen? So British government started to ban this slogan as well, Bande Matram. Students were also expelled from their schools, their colleges. Anyone who had participated into the Swadeshi movement coming from any government sector, meaning if they are the employee of the government, British government of India, they were also expelled from the services. Special circulars and instructions even were given to the schools that they need to look at their children or their students, especially the boys, that they should not be participating in such demonstrations, in such rebellious, you can say, movements. Then rural markets now were strictly controlled by the British. They were simply looking at what sort of goods were being sold in the market. Right, that was also taking place. Very important outcome is related to what happened to the leaders. Now coming to the leaders, so the main or major leaders associated with I should be telling it you in the beginning only, but nonetheless अभी मैं बता देती हूँ कौन से leaders थे. लाल बाल पाल in short you can remember, तो मैं यहाँ लिख देती हूँ. स्वदेशी मूवमेंट के साथ में मैंने आपको बताया कि लीडर्स बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. किसी भी मूवमेंट की आप बात कर लीजिए, नॉट ओनली दिस वन, किसी की भी बात कर लीजिए, ठीक है. तो स्वदेशी मूवमेंट में इफ यू टॉक अबाउट द लीडर्स, शॉर्ट में हम कहते हैं लाल बाल एंड पाल. लाला लाजपत राय, बिपिन चंद्र पाल and Bal Gangadhar Tilak. Along with these leaders, we have, मैं यही लिख देती हूँ, other leaders like Aurobindo Ghosh. We also have Chidambaram Pillai contributing from मद्रास, देन मद्रास प्रेसिडेंसी. और भी बहुत सारे लीडर्स थे. ये कुछ मेजर लीडर्स हैं. नाउ फॉर योर प्रीलिम्स दिस पार्ट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, राइट. In 2023 or 2022 there was this one question coming from INA, Indian National Army. So they gave 3 names to us in the prelims examination. UPSC basically gave us 3 names in that one particular question, asking that these 3 personalities are related to what kind of event in the Indian history, Indian freedom struggle. So that way you should always understand that names of leaders are very, very important while you are talking about any of the historical movements. Okay. So what happened to the leaders? सबसे पहले तो lot of leaders they were confined. Imprisonment was there. They were imprisoned basically, and that too without any sort of trial. Specifically, you talk about Ashwini Kumar Dutt and Krishna Kumar Mitra. They were deported. Both of these leaders were coming from Bengal presidency. Then Ajit Singh, Lala Lajpat Rai, they both were deported from Punjab. Chidambaram Pillai got arrested coming from the then Madras presidency, and leaders like Tilak and Bipin Aurobindo. So Tilak got imprisonment of 6 years, whereas Bipin Chandra Pal and Aurobindo Ghosh, they announced their retirement from the active politics. That is how in just one stroke British government made it sure that nobody participates in such movements from now on. There was this huge suppression of this revolt, or not exactly revolt, but this retaliation that people have put together against the British Raj. Okay, these are the things that are important for us for our prelims examination. Okay, now let us talk about this particular question. There were 2 statements given to us in the year 2023. This is the previous year question. This is not made by me. This is not a practice question. This is the actual UPSC prelims question asked in 2023. 2 statements, and you have to find which statement is correct, which is incorrect, and then you have to find the correct statement, I mean the correct answer from A, B, C and D. First statement says 7th August is declared as the National Handloom Day. Now we all know this is correct. It was in 1905 that Swadeshi movement was launched on the same day. Yes, this is actually correct. Actually, statement 2 is the reason why we are also saying that statement 1 is also correct. So actually it was in 1905 that Swadeshi movement was launched on 7th of August 1905. That is why since 2015 we are celebrating 7th August as the National Handloom Day, to basically pay our tribute and to basically thank all those people, each one of our population which is contributing immensely to the Indian handloom sector and therefore to the economy of India. ठीक है, तो दैट वे इफ यू सी बोथ आर करेक्ट एंड सेकंड इज द करेक्ट एक्सप्लेनेशन ऑफ वन व्हिच मेक्स ऑप्शन ए एज द करेक्ट वन. तो ऑप्शन ए जो है वो करेक्ट आंसर है इसका. ठीक है, वी हैव जस्ट नाउ जस्ट लुक एट दिस क्वेश्चन. So the first instance when anybody sees this question in prelims directly and where we have not prepared, you know, regarding this particular news, sometimes we get shocked while looking at such questions because there are a lot of factors working together in the prelims itself, and in those 2 hours you have to solve lot of questions and that too with accuracy. And you are also recalling lot of the facts at that point. So it's very important to prepare yourself in a manner that help you there in the final examination. So this is a very, very straight question and simple question. Moving to the practice question now, again on this very topic. The question says, which of the following statements about the Swadeshi movement 1905 was or are correct? आपको correct statements बताने हैं. First statement है, it was launched primarily in response to partition of Bengal by the British colonial government. अब ये बोल रहा है कि ये जो मूवमेंट था, स्वदेशी मूवमेंट, इसको लॉन्च किया गया था प्राइमरीली इन रिस्पॉन्स टू पार्टीशन ऑफ बंगाल. यस, वी हैव जस्ट डिस्कस दिस. प्राइमरीली ये है, मतलब इमीडिएट रीजन यहाँ पे हमें ये दिखता है, इसके पहले के बहुत सारे कॉजेस हैं, बट दिस इज करेक्ट. सेकेंड, वन ऑफ इट्स की ऑब्जेक्टिव वाज टू एनकरेज द यूज ऑफ इंडिजिनस गुड्स एंड बॉयकॉट द फॉरेन प्रोडक्ट्स, द नेगेटिव एलिमेंट एंड द पॉजिटिव एलिमेंट. येस, डेफिनेटली. थर्ड इज द एस्टैब्लिशमेंट ऑफ नेशनल एजुकेशन इंस्टीट्यूशंस वाज द पार्ट ऑफ स्ट्रैटेजी टू प्रमोट नेशनल कल्चर एंड एजुकेशन. येस, वी हैव जस्ट डिस्कस्ड अबाउट इट. Next is the movement successfully led to the immediate annulment of Bengal partition within 1 year. No, this is not correct. The annulment of partition of Bengal partition took place in the year 1911 when the Viceroy of India at that point of time was Lord Hardinge. So this is the same Viceroy who also announced the Delhi Darbar during that point of time. So this is the wrong statement. All other 3 are correct. That means 1, 2 and 3 is correct. So option A should be the correct answer here. So 1, 2 and 3 are correct answer. Correct option. Option A is correct. Fine. Now let us move towards our next question, our next topic. तो हमारा जो next topic है discussion का, that is on पंडित ईश्वर चंद्र विद्यासागर. इनका पिक्चर आप यहाँ पे देख सकते हैं. Now the news was that Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar, the renowned social reformer and educationist, was born on September 26, 1820 in Barsingha village, Midnapur, and was praised by Michael Madhusudan Dutt as sage in wisdom, an Englishman in energy, and a Bengali mother in heart. So what all things we should be knowing about it? सबसे पहली चीज जो आपको मालूम होनी चाहिए यहाँ पर इस न्यूज से रिलेटेड, that again this is GS पेपर 1 हिस्ट्री का ये टॉपिक है, प्रीलिम्स के लिए बहुत ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट है. हिस्टोरिकल पर्सनालिटीज, स्पेशली पर्सनालिटीज रिलेटेड टू रेनेसा पीरियड, रिफॉर्म, these are very, very important. So वहां से ये topic related है. Now when you talk about personalities, what all things you should be knowing about this particular one? पहली चीज तो आपको यहाँ पर सब टॉपिक्स की अगर हम बात करें, ये पर्टिकुलर पर्सनालिटी का आपको थोड़ा सा अर्ली लाइफ मालूम होना चाहिए, जिसमें उनका अर्ली एजुकेशन या किस तरीके से उनकी कोई आइडियोलॉजी बनी है ओवर अ पीरियड ऑफ टाइम, हाउ द आइडियोलॉजी ऑफ दैट पर्सनालिटी हैज you can say been materialized or been molded in throughout his early years, right? That we should be knowing. So associated important events also you should be knowing. After that, how that personality has contributed and in what dimensions, in what areas that person has contributed. Was it related to child marriage or related to not advocacy of child marriage but not allowing child marriage, ठीक है, advocacy of widow remarriage या किसी भी और cause के लिए. When you read the reform that chapter social religious reforms, there we divide the you can say issues on 2 fronts, caste issues and then we talk about the women issues. So you have to clearly understand, first of all understand this part, that any personality you are covering up in your current affair should be clearly understanding that what area this particular personality has contributed. Now contribution also means any sort of composition or any sort of compilation, any sort of text, any sort of poetry, right? Third important thing is any title associated with that personality. So compilation again is a number of books. I'm writing it here, number of books हो गई, ठीक है, इस तरीके से मालूम होना चाहिए। टाइटल उनके साथ में कोई एसोसिएटेड है, जैसे हम यहाँ पर भी अभी पंडित ईश्वर चंद्र विद्यासागर के साथ में पढ़ेंगे, जो टाइटल है विद्यासागर, राइट। सो दीज आर द इंपॉर्टेंट एरियाज दैट यू शुड बी नोइंग, because we are talking about one particular personality. So in that same space, if we have got other personalities also contributing in their own way, you should also be reading about them as in all these manner, their contribution, area of work, if that is in, so the contribution compilations you should be reading. I'm going to tell you how you have to cover that. ठीक है, यहाँ तक clear हो गया सबको? And again by Michael Madhusudan Dutt, there is this title associated with him, that a sage in wisdom. ये चीजें हैं जो आपको क्लियरली मालूम होनी चाहिए। यूपीएससी लव्स टू आस्क सच क्वेश्चंस इन प्रीलिम्स। यहाँ पर यूपीएससी सवाल पूछता है इस तरीके से, टाइटल पर बेस पूछ सकता है, कोई कंपाइलेशन पर पूछ सकता है, तो प्रिपेयर रहिए इस तरीके से चीजों को पढ़ने के लिए। ऑलराइट, नाउ लेट्स टॉक अबाउट पंडित ईश्वर चंद्र विद्यासागर। अगेन बिकॉज हम प्रीलिम्स के पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से फोकस कर रहे हैं, तो वी विल बी टेकिंग अप ऑल द मेजर क्विक फैक्ट्स जो प्रीलिम्स के लिए इंपॉर्टेंट है। ओके, टॉकिंग अबाउट द अर्ली लाइफ, एज आई हैव टोल्ड यू, इसको आप अलग पार्ट्स में डिवाइड कर सकते हैं। व्हेनेवर यू आर रीडिंग अबाउट एनी पर्सनालिटी, so the first thing you should be focusing on early life. The second area should be any academic pursuits. Third, the contribution itself, meaning the reformer zeal that they had and their contribution in that line also. Early life में we have just discussed this. Birth of Pandit Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar was on 26th of September 1820. He studied at Sanskrit college. वहाँ पर उन्होंने अपनी अर्ली जो थी वो एजुकेशन लिया, and he also earned the title of Vidyasagar. He also earned the title of Vidyasagar, meaning the ocean of knowledge, from संस्कृत कॉलेज कैलकाटा। वहां पे उनको ये जो था टाइटल दिया गया। दिस इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट पीस ऑफ इंफॉर्मेशन, बाय द वे, प्लीज हाईलाइट दिस वन। तो जो संस्कृत कॉलेज है कैलकाटा का, उन्होंने उनको टाइटल दिया था विद्यासागर का। पंडित ईश्वर चंद्र विद्यासागर स्पेंट almost 12 years at Sanskrit college learning the you can say associated areas or whatever study areas were there during that point of time in the Sanskrit college itself. He was well versed with lot of things. He not only had a good grip over Sanskrit, but also he privately learned English. He had a good hand in Vedanta philosophy. Vedanta philosophy, then he had a very good knowledge about you can say the other Hindu texts also. In fact, the title Pandit, if you see that way, the title Pandit, if you see, it is associated with Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar because he had very, very good hand in the Hindu philosophy, Vedanta philosophy that we have just discussed, Sanskrit, right? तो इन चीज़ों पे क्योंकि उनकी कमांड बड़ी अच्छी थी, तो इस वजह से उनको जो ये पंडित का टाइटल था, टाइटल तो क्या मतलब उनको इस तरीके से ऑनर किया जाता था उनके बारे में जब भी बात की जाती थी। तो उनको बड़े सारे वाइड एरियाज का नॉलेज था। संस्कृत बोल लीजिए, इंग्लिश बोल लीजिए, वेदांत फिलोसफी की बात कर लीजिए, और कोई हिंदू लॉ की बात कर लीजिए, टेक्स्ट की बात कर लीजिए। सो दैट वे इफ यू सी अ वाइडर नॉलेज ही बेसिकली हैड। नाउ टॉकिंग अबाउट हिज academic pursuits, so he was or he acted as principal of Sanskrit college, and also in his lifetime he also served as the first secretary of the Bethune school, जहाँ पर modern education को promote किया जा रहा है। So in no way we can simply say that he had only contributed to the Sanskrit language or the Sanskrit education only. He had this wider vision where he was promoting the modern education as well. These are the two very, very important points. Please highlight these 2 points. These are important for your prelims examination. Next is as a reformer, what Pandit Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar had contributed. So on 3 fronts we can divide that contribution. First is the attack on the child marriage. It happened close to 1850, where Pandit Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar, similar to you can say Raja Ram Mohan Roy, और भी बहुत सारे रिफॉर्मर्स हैं, बट राजा राम मोहन रॉय को आप बिल्कुल कोट कर सकते हैं यहाँ पर। उन्हीं की तरह से पंडित ईश्वर चंद्र विद्यासागर ने जो टेक्स्ट थे हमारे, उनको श्रुति एंड स्मृति जिनको हम डिवाइड करते हैं, उनको रेफर करते हुए बताया दैट देयर इज नो सच प्रैक्टिस, और इफ देयर इज सम सॉर्ट ऑफ प्रैक्टिस which is being, you can say, promoted by our shastras, one should not follow that. So marrying your child, especially a girl child, at the age of 10 should be prohibited. Even if dharma shastra is asking you to do that, one should not follow it. तो उन्होंने इस चीज के बारे में advocate किया. So he was definitely not very happy when he looked at this condition of Indian society in terms of the child marriage. He clearly tried to make people understand about the you can say repercussions of child marriage, or impact on the mental health, on the physical body, and how that is also going to affect the entire family and the next generation that is going to come up out of the child marriage union. Next is the advocacy of widow remarriage. Widow remarriage की advocacy उन्होंने 1850s में शुरू की. Finally there was this act in 1856 which started to promote the widow remarriage, especially in the upper caste, if you see, or in the upper varna, if you see, back then in those time there were strict guidelines around women. Otherwise also, if you see entire history of Indian subcontinent, India, तो आप देखेंगे कि women के around there were lot of such derogatory practices which on the human lines at the very first instance only are very, very, as I've said, derogatory and very, very bad, right? So Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar, he advocated the very idea of widow remarriage. He again used lot of scriptures only, the Hindu scriptures only, and saying that there is no such thing written in our Hindu scriptures which is not allowing our women to not marry again. So therefore he even asked or even requested the British government of the time to come up with some sort of law or some sort of act which can actually support the widow remarriage. The third very important area on which he worked a lot was campaigning against the polygamy. So against the polygamy, there was this one particular you can say segment within the Brahmin one itself where this polygamy thing was being practiced. And if you see in general also polygamy across the length and breadth of India was being practiced by different people, right, in different pockets of India. So he again decided not to let people be very comfortable with this very idea of polygamy, because whenever there is polygamy, so Pandit Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar very beautifully explained it that this resulted into oppression on women in different ways. So one should not be focusing on, or any society should not be focusing on normalizing polygamy. He was also against polygamy. Basically these are the three fronts, or these are the three areas you can say where he worked very, very hard, और उनके efforts की वजह से you can say this widow remarriage act 1856 में पास किया गया, जिसकी जो फाउंडेशन थी वो उनके एफर्ट से ही बनाई गई थी. चाइल्ड मैरिज को रोकने के लिए भी एक्ट आया. सिमिलरली पॉलीगैमी के अगेंस्ट भी कैंपेन किया गया, अवेयरनेस लोगों को जो था लाया गया. नाउ देयर आर फ्यू यू कैन से कंट्रीब्यूशन, लिटरेरी कंट्रीब्यूशन ऑफ पंडित ईश्वर चंद्र विद्यासागर. आपको वो थोड़े थोड़े मालूम होने चाहिए. जैसे कि 1848 में उन्होंने बंगलार इतिहास के बारे में लिखा, which talks about the history of Bengal. So these are the few literary works. I have also added this particular table in your handouts, so you can also read it from there as well, right? Then Jeevan Charita in 1849, a biographical sketch emphasizing the moral and the inspirational lives. Then Shakuntala in 1854, right? 1860 Mahabharat, and then there are lot others also. Borno Parichoy, very, very famous one. In fact, in Bengal today also, if you see, people are well aware of this particular, even the present generation also is well aware of this. So it basically simplified Bengali learning for the people as well, right? These are few literary contribution of Pandit Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar. Now let's quickly talk about the other important contribution in the same genre or in the field of women right. Women right की ही field में कुछ और बड़े important personalities का contribution रहा. क्या वो contribution है? Let's talk about them as quick facts for prelims. Number one, we have Raja Ram Mohan Roy. So Raja Ram Mohan Roy published the work like Tahafut ul Mubahideen. Now it is very important for us to understand and to know the literary contribution of different people. जैसे मैंने आपको पहले ही बताया, उनको एक टेबल की फॉर्म में आप लिख सकते हो, तो वो इंपॉर्टेंट है, पूछ लिया जाता है. He also founded Atmiya Sabha in 1814 and Brahmo Samaj in 1828. He abolished Sati through campaigning leading to 1829 बैन. पहले बंगाल में बैन होता है, फिर वो आउटसाइड बंगाल उसको ग्रेजुअली लागू किया जाता है. अपोज चाइल्ड मैरिज एंड पॉलीगैमी, एडवोकेटेड वुमेन एजुकेशन एंड सोशल इमेंसिपेशन. Now there is one very important dimension that you should be covering here, that you could expect one, or you can expect one question in your mains examination also related to this particular genre. So there can be one question asking you to write about the contribution of 19th century or 20th, yes, 19th and 20th century Indian reformers in the field of women's right. वहाँ पर you can write about all these reformers including पंडित ईश्वर चंद्र विद्यासागर. मेंस में पूछा जा सकता है, प्रीलिम्स में तो ये जो हाईलाइटेड एरियाज हैं वो इंपॉर्टेंट हैं ही. नेक्स्ट है सावित्रीबाई फुले. So Savitribai Phule, poet and writer with Marathi work such as Kavya Phule, advocated widow remarriage, women education. She also established the first girls' school in Pune in 1848. Behramji Malbari authored essays, notes on infant marriage, enforced widowhood, notes on infant marriage and enforced widowhood, social critique text and public appeal, published social reform in India in 1886 and appeal from daughters of India 1890. ये दो उनके important works हैं. He also campaigned strongly against the child marriage, widowhood restrictions, influenced the legislation like Criminal Law Amendment Act of 1885, Age of Consent Act of 1891. Then Dayanand Saraswati, who wrote Satyarth Prakash, very very important work, and founded Arya Samaj in 1875, promoting the Vedic values and education. He also advocated women right and widow remarriage. So in this manner, you should be covering all the reformers, their literature contribution, and in different manner how they have contributed to this particular genre that you should be knowing. Okay, यही मैंने आपको शुरू में बताया था, इस तरीके से पूछा जा सकता है. So this is the second topic that we have covered. I hope now you are able to easily understand that what all thing one need to cover while covering any personality which is there in news. तो ये सारे areas, early life contribution, what area, जैसे यहाँ पर हमने women right की बात किया था, है ना, तो women's rights and compilation of their work, वो मैंने टेबल दिया है. in your handout also there is this table, read it and any title, जैसे हमने यहाँ पे विद्यासागर जो टाइटल है which simply means or which literally translates to ocean of knowledge, जो संस्कृत कॉलेज कैलकाटा का है, उन्होंने उनको दिया था at the age of 21, जब वो 21 years के थे. ठीक है, तो उनको वो टाइटल दिया गया था obviously because of his knowledge and that very, you can say, zeal to learn more and more. Okay, so ye areas hain, these we have covered. Now let us quickly move towards our next topic, which is India's first smart intelligent village. What we should be knowing about such initiatives or such news. पहले तो ये टर्म क्या है, इस टर्म में अगर स्मार्ट एंड इंटेलिजेंट है तो कोई टेक्नोलॉजी से रिलेटेड है, वो टेक्नोलॉजी की टर्म्स आपको मालूम होनी चाहिए क्या क्या है, और जिस विलेज का के साथ इसको एसोसिएट किया गया है या जिस पर्टिकुलर रीजन की बात की जा रही है उसके साथ इसको कैसे इस न्यूज को एसोसिएट किया जा रहा है. दीज आर द फ्यू थिंग्स. ठीक है, लेट अस टॉक अबाउट इट. सो Satnawadi in Maharashtra become India's first smart and intelligent village, which means it has now been equipped with AI powered farming, water monitoring, telemedicine and digital classroom. तो smart and intelligent का मतलब है all this technology in agriculture, in water management or water monitoring, in education, in telemedicine. So there are these different broader areas. How UPSC can be asking question on this particular news? They could be directly giving you statement on these different dimensions so that they can simply understand that whether you understand the meaning of smart and intelligent village or not. Okay, so Maharashtra launches pioneering smart intelligent village pilot at Satnawadi near Nagpur, showcasing technology driven rural innovation in agriculture, healthcare and education. Broadly these three areas. Now let us talk about it. तो ये जो पर्टिकुलर न्यूज़ है ये आपकी एक तरीके से प्रीलिम्स के पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से अगर हम बोले ना तो GS3 का तो वैसे ही पार्ट बना लेता है क्योंकि उसमें टेक्नोलॉजी इनोवेशन उससे भी रिलेटेड है, बट ये आपका गवर्नमेंट इनिशिएटिव्स, गवर्नमेंट इंटरवेंशन GS2 का जो पार्ट है वहां से भी रिलेटेड, सो इट इज रिलेटेड टू द गवर्नमेंट इंटरवेंशन पार्ट इन GS2 एज वेल. So now let us quickly talk about some important points related to this particular initiative. These are the points that you should be knowing for your prelims. So this is basically a pilot project which has been launched in Maharashtra in the Satnawadi village. What is the reason for selecting this particular village only for the smart and intelligent village? Manageable size of the village, infrastructure readiness, presence of pond, school, Anganwadi and agricultural land on which we are going to set up these technological things. We are going to fit these technological things जिससे कि हम एक आउटकम एक्सपेक्ट कर रहे हैं, एक काफी बेटर आउटकम एक्सपेक्ट कर रहे हैं. व्हाट आर द की टेक्नोलॉजीज? AI, इंटरनेट ऑफ थिंग्स, ड्रोन असिस्टेड फार्मिंग, टेलीमेडिसिन, AI पावर्ड वाटर मॉनिटरिंग and digital classroom. What are the additional features associated with the smart village? Mobile banking will be there, smart surveillance will be there, obviously for protection, and automated fire extinguisher, digitized Anganwadi, and smart irrigation. What is the implementing body here? Maharashtra government, Voice of Indian Communication Technology Enterprise, Voice Consortium. Please highlight this particular part. So it is being implemented by Maharashtra government in association with Voice Consortium, which is Voice of Indian Communication Technology Enterprises. Monitoring system, Central Network Operation Control System, CNOC in short we call it, for device uptime and maintenance. Expansion plan, we have now planned to develop 10 more smart villages in the coming time. Estimated cost per village is around 50 lakh rupee, funding mainly by the private firm. So what we are seeing here, that the funding associated with this smart and intelligent village is mainly coming from the private firms and Maharashtra state government as well. What are the challenges associated here? It ensuring the robust internet connectivity, sustainable long-term funding. Two broader you can say challenges that we are finding here. One is on the front of continuity in technology or maintenance of the technology, right? And second is on the front of funding itself. So UPSC will be directly asking statements like this, that direct statements. These are the few things that one should be understanding and knowing well in you can say advance before starting with your prelims examination. तो इस topic से related ये चीजें मालूम होनी चाहिए. Now what are the key features associated with this particular initiative? Fisheries monitoring will be there, smart farming will be there. Obviously we are talking about the village, the rural economy where agriculture is the backbone, allied activities are the backbone. So we have to somehow, or we have to basically work in line with fisheries and farming so that output now comes even much better, more better by using technology. Smart irrigation, telemedicine, how it works, that I will be telling you in the next slide. IoT street line, Internet of Things, street lighting, street lights, smart governance. So basically these are the areas. This is agriculture. So in the field of agriculture and fisheries, irrigation, agriculture again related to this part, telemedicine, we are talking about the health, digital classroom, we are talking about education, governance also we are talking about governance, and the street light, again related to the infrastructure. These are the tools and technologies used. AI and mobile apps will be used. These will help us enhance the agricultural decision making and irrigation management. For example, farmers should be knowing well in advance that what particular crop now they should be sowing, right? What particular seeds they should be sowing when they have like 2 to 3 options in front of them in one particular season. Now that all depends upon the quality of the soil, right? The amount of you can say moisture available in the soil. It all dictates to again the fertility of the soil when we talk about macronutrients and the micronutrients. That is very important. What sort of fertilizer we need to put in, right? They should be knowing this well in advance. When any farmer has this information with them beforehand, like what is the moisture you can say available in the soil, nature of the pH of soil for that matter, micro macronutrient available in the soil, what sort of care soil right now needs. In one simple word, if we have to say, soil को, मिट्टी को अभी क्या चीज़ की रिक्वायरमेंट है, पानी कितना चाहिए है, micronutrients macronutrients उसको कितने चाहिए हैं. If farmer has all of this information with them before starting with the sowing part, तो वो बहुत better output आपको दे सकता है. तो वो हम track करेंगे with these AI and mobile apps. Second is drone technology. Drone technology will be used in improving the agricultural spraying and fire control. तो एग्रीकल्चर में यू कैन से द फील्ड्स में अगर हमें कोई तरीके की पेस्टिसाइड को स्प्रेड करना है, या हमें पूरे के पूरे रीजन में कोई तरीके का यू कैन से पेस्ट कंट्रोल की हम बात करें, या कोई तरीके का the exact word I'm not getting right now, but let us say कोई तरीके का इन्फेस्टेशन हो रहा है अगर क्रॉप में, तो दैट पूरा एंटायर रीजन वन नीड टू सी right from some higher area. So that graphic, that picture will help you to understand that what exactly is happening. That will help also. Fiber optics and internet Wi-Fi. Enable digital connectivity across the region. Telemedicine portal linking the medical college for the remote healthcare service, which is very very essential. So यहाँ पर आंगनवाड़ी जो हमारे पास, या आंगनवाड़ी भी नहीं, हम कहें आशा वर्कर्स जो हैं, they are going to play a very very pivotal role here. So we would now want that every person coming from the smart village should be able to have a report, or should be able to basically report ना भी बोले तो they should be able to understand what is going on with their body in terms of blood pressure, sugar levels, बहुत सारी ऐसी चीज़ें हैं और वो फ्रीक्वेंट लेवल पर उनको मालूम होती रहे. सो दीज रिपोर्ट्स विल डायरेक्टली बी फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल कमिंग टू दीज यू कैन से आशा वर्कर्स. फिर वो जो है वो इम्प्लीमेंटेशन जो है इस तरीके से करते करते वी आर ट्राइंग टू रीच टू द वेरी लास्ट हाउस इन द विलेज इटसेल्फ. देन IoT devices which will be monitoring the water, managing the street light and providing the surveillance also. Community digital infrastructure like supporting education, smart screens, smart boards. The children should be able to understand the things, how things work in 3D itself, and healthcare and governance. So ये है हमारे पास tools. One statement directly on tools can directly be coming up in your examination. Now the smart intervention already, or you can say done at सतनावाड़ी. क्या क्या इंटरवेंशंस किए गए हैं? पहला तो हमने पढ़ा एग्रीकल्चर से रिलेटेड है. सो फर्स्ट इज रिलेटेड टू एग्रीकल्चर, IoT सेंसर्स एंड AI ऑप्टिमाइजेशन इन फार्मिंग प्रैक्टिसेस. सेकंड इज फिशरीज, where in the pond itself we will be setting up some technology that will help us understand the quality of the water itself. When I talk about quality of the water, it is important for us to understand that amount of oxygen dissolved in the pond or in the water is important. All the other things related to the quality of water, वो सारी चीज़ें जो हैं ऑक्सीजन लेवल्स के साथ में इंपॉर्टेंट है मेजर करना, उसको यहाँ पर मेजर किया जाएगा. ड्रोन एनहांस द फार्मिंग एंड पेस्ट कंट्रोल एज वेल. Safety, smart street lights and CCTV improves security. Water management, AI will monitor the water supply and quality. Healthcare, teleconsultation will be there. Education, online education, Wi-Fi, improved education. Security, communication devices and alert, enhanced security. Water management, IoT bins will be there tracking the system. Waste management practice. Fire control, automatic fire extinguishers and drone control fires will be there. Network management, central system monitors and manages the devices so that everything is connected at the same time. From the one center we can actually see how the things have been working and being delivered right now at this very point of time. तो ये यहाँ पर implementation कैसे किया गया है उसकी बात है. So what kind of question we can expect from this particular news? The term itself, smart and intelligent, meaning what? What sort of technology? Now you're understanding we are talking about technology, but what sort of technology? All this technology we are talking about. These are the things that you should be knowing regarding this particular one. Okay. Moving towards our next one, that is the category of awards. Miscellaneous category में है. आज हम award पर बात करेंगे. 2025 Raman Magsaysay Award. So few things that you should be knowing regarding the. Let us first of all start with the awardees of 67th edition. This was basically 67th edition of this particular award. So these are the three things that one should be understanding regarding the 67th edition of this award. First is Foundation to Educate Girls Globally, or in short we call it as Educate Girls. This particular you can say organization which comes from our very dear land, that is India, has basically got this award. Area of work of this particular body is girls education and gender equality. ये जो organization है Educate Girl, इसको रेमन मैग्सेसे अवार्ड अभी मिला है, जिनका जो इंडिया से ही है ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, और किन एरियाज पर ये काम करता है, गर्ल एजुकेशन, जेंडर इक्वलिटी. फर्स्ट इंडियन ऑर्गेनाइजेशन ये अब बन चुका है टू विन 2025 रेमन मैग्सेसे अवार्ड. इट फोकसेस ऑन एजुकेटिंग out of school girls, breaking the cultural barrier and empowering millions. Second जो ये award मिला है, I mean जिनको मिला है वो मालदीव से हैं, that is शहीना अली from Maldives for her work in environmental conservation, recognized for her work in environmental protection and sustainability in Maldives. Third is Flaviano Antonio L. Villanueva from Philippines for the community empowerment, honored for dedication for upholding dignity of the poor and oppressed communities. अब ये जो particular award है, this award is being given every year, annually इसको दिया जाता है, and the award number varies, meaning sometime you will find only one award given, sometime 2 awards are given, 3 awards are given, usually 3 to 4 awards दिए जाते हैं. This time we see these 3 awards being given, जिसमें से कि एक award इंडिया के इस पर्टिकुलर ऑर्गेनाइजेशन को दिया गया, विच वर्क्स इन द फील्ड ऑफ विमेन गर्ल एजुकेशन एंड जेंडर इक्वालिटी. नाउ लेट्स क्विकली टॉक अबाउट दिस पर्टिकुलर ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, एजुकेट गर्ल, India's first recipient organization. This is the organization. This organization was founded in the year 2007. ये मालूम होना चाहिए, राजस्थान में इसकी फाउंडेशन यानी कि आप कह सकते हो कि वहाँ पे ये इस ऑर्गेनाइजेशन को बनाया गया है. What is the focus area? Girl child education, mobilizing community, partnering with the government. Now talking about the impact, over 2 million girls impacted across 30,000 villages. That means huge impact has been created by this particular organization. Talking about the innovation, so pioneered the world's first development impact bond in education. When you talk about development impact bond, this is basically a financial institution, a financial instrument, not institution, a financial instrument which helps, you can say, pooling of money, or which basically help you can say NGOs or any implementing body, any body or any organization working in the diverse field related to any sort of development, any sort of development. So the development that we are seeing here is in the field of girl education. So this is basically a financial instrument which helps such organizations, such bodies which are contributing immensely in the development or in any sort of development, mostly in low and middle income countries. Low and middle income countries. Mostly the people who are putting their money are the private investors. So private investors here are putting their money, they are putting money into these organizations who are then implementing their things on ground. Obviously they are doing lot of development work in different fields. And when you talk about the outcome, if the outcome is very good, when this organization is going to put their efforts while working for their very goal, and if the outcome is very good in terms of profit making, then the private investor is also going to get that some part of that return. But in this sort of financial instrument, it is not necessary that the private investor who had invested here at the very first place is going to definitely get something back from this investment. So it is I would say unlike those investments where you are expecting something coming out from your investment. ठीक है, तो यहाँ पर एज अ प्राइवेट इन्वेस्टर अगर आप पैसा डाल रहे हो, इट इज़ नॉट इम्पॉर्टेंट, या ये ज़रूरी नहीं है, इम्पॉर्टेंट नहीं कहेंगे, मैंडेटरी नहीं है ये कि आपने जो पैसा लगाया है वो मिलेगा, अगर वहाँ पर आउटपुट अच्छा आता है. When you have given your money to this body, they have put it on ground, results are coming good, you are earning money or getting some money, उसमें से अगर उतना आउटपुट आता है, then the investor will be getting it back. Otherwise कोई ऐसी मैंडेटरी कंडीशन यहाँ पे नहीं है कि इन्वेस्टर को पैसा मिलेगा ही, सो वो लॉस भी हो सकता है वहां पर. नाउ एनी इन्वेस्टर हु इज इंटरेस्टेड इन पुटिंग देयर मनी इन सच ग्राउंड ब्रेकिंग वर्क, इस तरीके के जो डेवलपमेंट वर्क इन लो एंड मिडिल इनकम कंट्रीज में, दे आर द वंस हु आर टेकिंग दिस स्टेप फॉरवर्ड हियर, ठीक है। तो ये डेवलपमेंट इम्पैक्ट बॉन्ड डेवलपमेंट को ध्यान में ही रख करके किए गए हैं. व्हाट सॉर्ट ऑफ इम्पैक्ट बेसिकली इन टर्म्स ऑफ डेवलपमेंट इन एनी लो एंड मिडिल इनकम country you are putting in, for those investors only this particular investment you can say instrument is there, or this financial instrument is there. Key activities: bringing out of school girls back to classroom, the girls who have now drop out from their schools, तो ये institution क्या करता है, उन्हीं girls की education के लिए काम करता है, improving the learning outcomes. overall outcome हमारी क्या है, learning outcome, education जो है among these girls उसको बढ़ाया जाए. Work primarily in Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh and Bihar. Notable achievements: enrolled over 4 lakh out of school girl in 1 year, focused on literacy, numeracy and life skill education. So brilliant work they are basically doing, right? So from this particular one you should be understanding the major details, main details about this particular body and this financial instrument, that is the development impact bond. Okay, the next thing we should be knowing is regarding the Raman Magsaysay Award. The award was established in 1957 by the trustee of Rockefeller Brother Fund with Philippine government concurrence. The first award was awarded in the year 1958. What was the purpose? To honor the former Philippine President Raman Magsaysay, example of governance, integrity, courageous public service and pragmatic idealism with democracy. These are basically the fields in which the award actually is being awarded. It is also nicknamed as Asia's Nobel Prize. Very important one. And specific categories, if we see between 1958 to 2008: government service, public service, community leadership, journalism, literature, creative communication, art, peace, international understanding, emergent leadership. This is important for prelims. So there could be direct statement coming. Any one or two of the segments will be given in your prelims exam. UPSC will ask whether this award is granted or given or awarded in this area or not, like international understanding, like peace, like emergent leadership. So you have to basically analyze that statement. This part is important. Current category focuses on emergent leadership since 2001. Award items include certificate, medallion with embossed profile of Raman Magsaysay. Cash award is also given. Award ceremony annually held in Manila, Philippines. So the frequency is annual. Please keep this in mind. ये हर साल award जो है वो दिया जाता है, वेरी करता है ये basically. Individuals को भी दिया जाता है, organization को across Asia, demonstrating the selfless work. Now this is basically a list. I have given this list in your handout as well. Let me quickly read this list for you. List of awardees: 1958, India से ही अगर आप बात करेंगे, for community leadership Vinoba Bhave in 1958. In 1962 Mother Teresa, peace and international understanding. ये सारे areas में award दिया गया है. 67 Satyajit Ray, journalism, literature and creative arts. MS Subbulakshmi. So in 1974 public service, and similarly then you can see in 2006 Mr. Arvind Kejriwal, emergent leadership in 2006. Then Sonam Wangchuk in 2018, community leadership again. Then we have Ravish Kumar in 2019, journalism, literature and creative arts, and so on and so forth. So we have this big list coming here. So there are few names that you should be knowing that I have already marked. So ये नाम आपको मालूम होने चाहिए, इनके ऊपर जो है वो स्टेटमेंट पूछा जा सकता है, right? So you should always understand that what depth you have to go while covering any current affair. That is very important. I have already given you the areas dimensions and I have already told you what dimension one need to go while covering current affairs for the prelims, right? This is all for this particular discussion. हमने आज 4 टॉपिक्स पर डिस्कशन किया. ये चारों टॉपिक्स में कितने सब टॉपिक्स बनते हैं, कितनी डेप्थ तक कवर करना है, उस पर हमने डिस्कशन लिया है. हम जल्दी ही दूसरे डिस्कशन के साथ आएंगे और कुछ नए टॉपिक्स के साथ प्रीलिम्स के अंडरस्टैंडिंग करंट अफेयर से रिलेटेड को डीपन करेंगे. सो आई विल नाउ बी कमिंग अप विद अ न्यू डिस्कशन क्लास where I will be taking up new topics which are relevant or which will be relevant for our prelims examination very soon in our next discussion. Handouts are already uploaded in your Telegram group. You can go there, download the Telegram, download the handout from the Telegram group itself, and if you want to take printout of it, you can take printout of it also, and keep on adding the additional things that we have discussed in the class. Alright, so now I am signing off. We will be meeting very soon in the next discussion. Till then, take care. Thank you for watching.